You know, in these troubling times, it's peaceful to know that we can all come together and be really upset with my view on The Hunt. I can guarantee I'm gonna tick some people off with this review because this entire movie is kind of meant to, like, fan flames, I guess, sort of. This film has a very, like, rocky history behind its distribution because the film was advertised as being a movie about a bunch of rich people who are going to hunt down poor people for sport, and they leaned heavily into political language in that film, in that trailer, in which they were trying to make it seem like the people doing the hunting were conservatives. They were people on the right wing, and they were just evil, and they were going to hunt down people just for sport. Mwahaha. And then the film got delayed and taken away because a lot of people looked at that and got really pissed. Like, Fox News was losing their mind over that because Fox News always has to lose their mind about something. So people complain about that. It got taken away. Then they're like, all right, now that it's been gone for a little bit, we're going to put it out in theaters this weekend. So they put it out, and everybody was absolutely shocked. Oh, you tricked us. Actually, the people doing the hunting are liberal left-wing hippies over here, and the people they're hunting are right-wing people. And that was, like, not in the trailers at all. Like, they lied to everybody about that one. They fooled everyone going into this film. And now, all of a sudden, the arguments were swapped. And the people who were like, yeah, no, this film seems great, are like, boo this film. And the people who were booing this film, I don't know if they actually went out and saw the film or not. I don't even know if, like, this strategy of theirs worked, because clearly they were trying to get Fox News mad at this, because they knew Fox News would complain. That would give it a lot of advertisement for free, which it did. But then the whole thing about, okay, now we're going to take it away, now we'll put it back out there, like, I don't think that actually worked for you guys.
Yeah.
Granted, you can't look at the box office returns of anything in the last month and say, well, I think it might not have done well because of this thing. We all know why everything did poorly at the box office in the last month, okay? But yeah, I don't remember a lot of people talking about this when it was coming back. I even forgot that came back in theaters. But it's weird. Like, it only has, like, around a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the people who like it are like, no, this thing is actually great. And I have to agree. I think this thing is great. And before anybody goes, oh, so you agree with the political ideology of this film? I want to remind you guys, I have never made a secret. I am a big liberal SJW hippie left-wing nut over here. Like, I have always put that out there. Like, I have never made my political lean secret. So you might be looking at this going like, well, then how can you applaud this film where the liberals are the bad guys in this film? Guys, I'm going to let y'all in on a secret. Everybody in this film is a bad guy. It's kind of like when Knives Out came out, and so many people on the right were pointing at that film and going like, oh, all the bad people in this film, they're just all right-wing conservatives in here. I was like, Toni Collette is a bad person in here too, and she is a stereotype of people on the left. Everyone's being hit, just you're the only ones being pissed about it. It's kind of what's happening in this film here. It's like, dude, everyone, like, they're coming for everybody on this thing. And I'm like, you know what, listen, I understand why people are upset whenever something comes in here. It's like, well, everyone is bad. Like, everyone is equally bad on all sides. Like, no, not everyone is equally bad on all sides. But everyone can be kind of equally had jokes made about them on all sides, I guess. Like, what I'm trying to say, okay, that's a weird way of putting it. Everyone out there can be made fun of. Like, there's nobody out there who's like, well, yeah, but even the people who are over here, there's jokes they can be made about. The people over here, there are jokes they can be made about. This film is basically about taking, like, the jokes of both sides and kind of making fun of it. And I know a lot of people are going to look at that and basically say, like, okay, so what you're saying is that you should make a film where, like, everyone's to blame. But if you're making a film where, like, oh, everyone is at fault, then you're not actually making a political statement in your political film. And I can understand the argument for that. I can understand somebody coming in here and saying, oh, if you're coming in here and your big political statement is, well, everyone is bad, then yeah, I get it. You're not actually making a statement. You're trying to, like, go, oh, I'm not playing this game. I'm just going to stand over here and just make fun of everybody. I understand the people being upset with that. I don't think that's what this film is doing. I think this film is indeed making a political statement. I think it's making a big political statement. It's just not something that a lot of people are looking at and they're seeing. And this is really the conversation that we should be saving for the end, but I guarantee you, everybody who has already heard about this film, you've already heard everybody making this argument, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and get to it in the beginning. But the statement I think this film is making is something that I haven't heard anybody saying. I think this film is trying to say that it is a movie about how angry everyone is getting and how much everyone is moving further and further in opposite directions. And basically the film is saying, listen man, we all just keep moving in the opposite directions and we all keep getting angry at each other. We're all just gonna start murdering each other. That's what this is all leading up to. I think that's the political statement that it's trying to make. It's not trying to come in here and say like anybody is right or wrong, because that's not what the movie is about. The movie is about basically tension in America. That's what the film is about. It is a film that is all about anger that everyone kind of feels towards each other. And looking at it like that, I'm like, oh, this is actually like brilliant satire then. I actually think that the satire in this film is great if that is the message that it's trying to make. Because I'm one of those guys who's like, yeah, I think the film should make messages, but films don't have to make every message all at once. And this film is making the specific message about tension, about anger at each other in America right now. And I think that they did that very well in here, because it is presented in a big, like, blown, completely out of proportion, going in, like, as far up to 11 as you possibly can kind of way, while also having a bunch of characters in here who are just great caricatures of the type of people that they're trying to talk about. Because, again, everybody in this film is a caricature. But they're caricatures that you look at and go, yeah, I know those people. I have seen those people out there. So yeah, what this film is about a bunch of rich people, and they are all of the liberal persuasion, and they make tons of jokes about that. And listen, again, huge liberal over here, I laughed my ass off at some of these jokes. There is a moment in which two old white people in here are getting into this like screaming argument with each other about what is the proper terminology for African Americans. And I was like, oh my god, you are so like out of touch and just okay. Yeah, it's like that's the kind of film, like that's the kind of like caricatures they are, and they're talking about. I was like, well, I heard it was okay to say this because I heard on NPR, and yeah, I know those people. I absolutely know those people, and as somebody who knows those people, I was laughing my ass off at that depiction right there. But again, I know there's a lot of people out there who they're going to look at just those people and be like, well, that's what they're saying about the people on the left. And it's like, dude, stop and look at the other half of the people in here, too. The people that they're hunting down. They're all assholes, too! Everyone in this movie is a complete asshole. Our protagonist in here, the one person who was being hunted, who, like, fights back, and she is a complete badass, by the way. She is the most stable one in here, but there's even a moment where she stops and someone's like, why are you fighting back? You can just go. And she's just, I'm not going to spoil anything, but she basically just goes, I'm kind of fucked up. And I kind of sit around all day thinking about murdering people. So it's like, yeah, everybody in here is fucked up. This entire film is basically a trail mix bag of just incredibly fucked up caricatures, and because of that, it actually kind of becomes this hilarious action film. It really reminded me of, not Knives Out, shit, what was it? Ready or Not. And Ready or Not was one of my favorite films of last year. I love that movie. And that film had a lot of political messages in it. A lot. This one, same level of political messages, except that while not,
was it Ready or Not?
Ready or Not. I keep wanting to say Knives Out.
It's like, they're very similar.
Yeah, whereas
like,
Ready or Not was pretty much all like being aimed with the political messages towards one direction. This one is kind of like a grenade just going off in all directions, which again, I understand the people saying, well, if you're just hitting everyone, then you're not actually saying anything. Again, I think that this thing is saying, like, listen, everybody's kind of fucked up and we're all just so angry at each other that, like, this is what we're all leaning towards. We're all leaning towards violence. And again, that is a political message to make. So, dog, are you just going to keep, like, biting my hands? Right, let's go. You gotta get down now. Okay, buddy. She looks so mad at me right now. Like, why did you put me down? Anyway, so yeah, this film, it's fairly simple. It is fairly simple. As I said, these people, they just wake up. They're out in the woods. And they're just suddenly, they're given, like, a bunch of weapons. But, like, there's kind of, like, little twist to, like, how they're given the weapons and such. And then they just start getting hunted down. But again, it's kind of like the people hunting them down, they're not really good at this. Like, they're not exactly people who use weapons a whole lot, whereas a lot of the people who they kidnap, like, there's a joke even at the beginning of this thing about how good they are with their firearms. But, like, there's a moment in here in which, like, a grenade gets thrown to somebody, and you just see the person, like, sitting there, just staring at the grenade, and then they just stare at it, and then you hear the people on screen, like, why is it going off? Why is it, did you take the pin out? I don't think I took the pin out. Oh, for the love of God. Like, it's that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's hilarious. It's great.
By the way, the reason why I'm not talking about this, I didn't see it, yeah.
She didn't see it, and man, it bums me out that you didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling well.
You were under the weather. It's not that.
No.
I actually made a comment on Twitter about how you weren't feeling well one night, and man, some people were like, is it this? Is it this? And I was like, yeah, I need to realize I can't say that just casually anymore right now. That is not the world we're living in right now. No, it was allergies related. Yeah, which, man, is that fun that this is happening at allergy season. Yeah, just go ahead and warn everybody, because I have seen so many people online, like, saying, like, how do I know if it's allergies or this? Runny nose and sneezing, not a sign of the death plague. So, if you sneezing and your nose is running, and you can tell, like, you're coughing because of that, you're good. Little tip from Professor Thorgy, right in the middle of this review. It's weird, I have to now give out, like, health advice in the middle of our reviews. But yeah, this entire film, it actually escalates quick. Because this starts off with, like, 10 people about to be hunted down. I don't want to go into too many details, but that number gets low quick. It drops dramatically in, like, a second. And again, you don't get a lot of time to spend with these people, but even in the little time that you get with them, you can look at them and go, okay, it's that person, it's that person. Like, okay, you can look at them and you can instantly go, like I said, these are meant to be caricatures, but because they're caricatures, you kind of get to know them all within the split second that you actually get to see them. So it really does work well. The only one who you do actually get to spend a lot of time with is our protagonist. And again, I'm not going to go into too many details with her, but there is a great twist about why she is involved in all of this. And again, I do want to come in here and point out to all the people out there who's like, oh, well, they're just trying to make all the liberals look bad in this thing. It's like, dude, there is a guy in the beginning of this film who he looks like he is going to be John Q. Hero Man. Like, he's got the chiseled jawline, the perfect 5 o'clock shadow. He's really nice and protective of other people. You think he's going to be this great hero guy. I'm not going to say what happens to him, but at the end of the film, you find out why they picked him to be in here, and the moment you saw it and you see why they picked him, you're just like, oh, fuck that guy. Oh my God, send that guy, like, can you murder that guy twice? Oh man, yeah, again, everyone in here is a complete and total asshole in this film. Like, there's one guy who you meet in here, and he's the guy, oh fuck, I keep forgetting his name, but he was a guy, he's a famous character actor. He was a guy, which there's a lot of, like, big name actors that they got for this film, like, not huge, but bigger than you would expect for, like, oh, hey, it's that, oh, they're gone. Like, that's what it is, and I mean, it's great for that, but there's one character in here who, he's one of the people who ends up sticking around a little bit longer than everyone else. I'm not gonna say what happens to him, but, because there are some survivors. There are some. Just gotta put that out there. But he's the guy who was in Mallrats, the guy who couldn't see the sailboat. He was on My Name is Earl for the longest time. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. He's been in a lot of stuff. But he's in there, and he is this guy that as soon as they are kidnapped, he is instantly just going in there like, yeah, it's this thing, it's this conspiracy that I read about on the internet, and I have a podcast where I talk about this thing. You should really listen to it. And I just looked at him and went, I know that guy. Which again, that's what this film is. It is, I know him, I know that person, I know her. I actually thought that, man, I thought it was great how they were able to basically use caricatures to introduce us to people and make us instantly get, oh, I know who that is, so that way you don't need a ton of time with them, because you're not going to get a ton of time with them. And I do have to say, some of the kills in here, they're pretty damn good. There is a woman who falls into a pit of spikes, And I won't say exactly what they do with it, but the pit of spikes isn't the end of it. And I just looked at that, and this is not like some visceral, like, bloodthirst thing. This is me just appreciating really good slapstick. It was a pretty darn good slapstick of what they did with that scene. So yeah, this film, again, there isn't a whole lot to talk about because they just murder everybody really quickly in here. And then it is basically just our protagonist just fighting back. And she is just such a badass. She is an amazing badass in here. All of her lines are witty and clever. She's got that perfect level of just like calm nature in the face of whatever crazy shit she's going up against. And again, there is that moment later on where she basically kind of gives you the very simple explanation of why she is able to remain so cool and calm in here. She flat out turns to the audience and goes, "I'm insane," which I thought was great. I thought that was great because so often you see those action films where somebody just has no problem just flipping that switch and just going into full-blown hero mode, and it's like, people aren't like that in the real world. In the real world, even 90% of the people who are like, "Oh yeah, I'd be that way in the real world." No, you fucking wouldn't. In your head you would be, but 90% of people would not be that way. This woman, she is that way, and then she just gives that very simple explanation of, "I'm fucking insane." And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, alright, yeah, absolutely, yeah, sure. But it's insane in that way that does make you, like, cheer her on. And I gotta give a lot of credit, too. Not Helen Hunt, but what is her name? $1 Million Baby. God, what is her name? I keep forgetting her name. I don't even think her first name is Helen. Begins with an H, though, I think. Hilary Swank. That's it, yes. She is, like, the ringleader of the rich people who are hunting these people down. And you, like, don't even see her until, like, 2/3 of the way through the movie. Like, at all. You see the other rich people, but you don't even see her until, like, 2/3 of the movie. Until it was, like, revealed she was, like, the puppet master behind this. And, like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. This doesn't mean anything to me if you just come in here at the end. And then they stop the whole movie to give the flashback of why she's doing this. And you looked at it and went, oh, so it's a thing very heavily influenced by real-world events. And you looked at, and again, this is not in any way, shape, or form coming in here and being like, oh, yes, I understand why she did that. No, no, no. It's not a, oh, well, I'm on her side now. You're never on anyone's side, except maybe the protagonist, but even that comes with a big-ass asterisk on it. You're never on anyone's side, but that was the moment that I looked at and I went, I get the message of the film. The film is, we're all going nuts right now and we're all getting way more violent with each other and we're all being pushed every single day more and more and more, just in opposite directions. And it's like, the internet and conversations on the internet just are like fueling so much more anger and people are getting pushed so much more in opposite directions. And that was the moment that I looked at it and went, I get what this message is. I get what they're trying to say. And it's like, wow, you picked like the perfect real world example to kind of like make that the target of your film. Again, and I want to make it clear to everybody, like, I'm not coming in here and saying like, oh, I get the message of the film, so that means I'm okay with the murder game. No, 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 the message of the film is the murder game is not good, but it is like 2 steps from where we are right now as a society, is what the film is trying to say. And yeah, I thought that as soon as I got that, man, like, the remaining problems I had with this film just gone. Like, I was totally on board with this thing. I had a blast with this movie. Still not as good as Ready or Not. If you haven't seen Ready or Not yet, go and check that one out. But if you have seen that one, yeah, man, this was like the methamphetamine of Ready or Not. Like, yeah, this is what, I need something kind of like it, but not exactly like it. Yeah, there you go. And this film, it ends with our protagonist and Hilary Swank having a, like, big knockdown, drag-out fight. That's what, it's gonna be hard for any fight to top that this year. The fight is amazing, and it's not just like action. It's brutal, they are beating the shit out of each other, but then there's also good jokes in the middle of it. We just did a review of Bloodshot, and I was like, man, it was so awkward anytime they tried to shove jokes in the middle of action. This one fight scene did it so well. Like, there's moments where they're being thrown through shit, and they just have like the perfect commentary on being thrown through shit. Yeah, I had a blast with this film. I'm mad that there's some films on demand right now that you can rent, and there's some that you can buy out of things that were in theaters. This one you can only rent, and I'm like, God damn it, I want to own this thing now because I kind of want to watch it again. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I didn't get my score. Yeah. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This was good. I really enjoyed this thing. So yeah, I give it a high recommendation, but again, it's going to be one of those films that it's going to piss off a lot of people, but it's one of those things where it's like, I understand that in the world that we're living in right now, seeing any kind of like political caricatures like this, I get that they can offend and upset people. But I think the point of this film isn't to like come in here and say, oh, that's what these people are like. That's what those people are like. No, the point of this film is saying, like, you're all becoming this. Chill out. Hey, Peach.
You need to chill out, Peach.
Yes, hi. I've become Death the Destroyer. Give me my treats. She is like staring me down. Okay. And by the way, when I say like everybody chill out, that's not me saying like don't be politically active. That's not me saying don't be interested in things. That's not me saying don't speak out aggressively against stuff. Anybody who follows me on Twitter, you know I talk about politics on there a lot, and I am openly pissed off about stuff. It's more of me just saying is like, yeah, we need to stop being like so salivating over the idea of other people suffering because they're different than us. That's kind of what I guess I'm saying.
Like you should be angry at helping others, not angry and like hurting others. Something like that. It's hard to explain.
Yeah,
but.
You also didn't see the film, so it's hard for you to kind of guess what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, it's basically just me more like saying like, yeah, man, speak out, be angry, like let everybody know what's wrong and fucked up with the world, but don't go on Twitter and talk about people you want to murder. Like that's what it is. That's what this film is.
Like don't make the world a worse place than it already is.
Yeah, I think that's what the point of this film was all about, but, whoa, Peach! Alright, let's go ahead and take care of you, buddy. Thank you guys for tuning in. Next week, we're gonna try and review The Invisible Man, and what was the other one? The Lodge. I'm gonna try and get to The Lodge. Oh, shoot, there's like, what was that? A girl walks through fire or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Can't remember, but man, that thing got good reviews, and it's on demand, so, again, out of everything going wrong in the world right now, the fact that I no longer have to leave my house to go and see all these really good movies that were in theaters is the one good thing happening in the world right now. So I'm going to lean into that heavily, baby. But then the week after that, I don't know what other films are going to be coming to on demand, but we have a new movie show that you guys might enjoy as a new regular thing that I never wanted to do, but it's one of those, in case the world goes crazy and everyone just needs a good laugh, break glass in case of emergencies, so I think I'm gonna have to break that glass. So come back in 2 weeks to see what that is about, but come back next week for those other reviews. Bye, everybody.
Bye.